Welcome to Marketing Brew Weekly, the show where we chat about everything that's surprising and delighting the marketing world this week. I'm Jenny Mywin, reporter at Marketing Brew.
I'm Kelsey Sutton, editor.
And I'm Katie Hicks, senior reporter.
Today, we have got celebs on celebs on celebs with LeBron's fake out ad and Alex Cooper's foray into the celebrity ad agency world. Plus, Friend AI has gotten some unfriendly reception. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, guys, it's officially fall. It's cold outside. We're wearing our cozy sweaters, which to me is also officially movie season. Awards campaigns are starting to kick off. And Gen Z's favorite movie star, Timothee Chalamet, has kind of started it all off for his movie, Marty Supreme. It's promo for the movie. It's probably going to lead into an Oscars campaign of some sort. But honestly, the way he started it off, I can only describe is bizarre. Did you guys see this video that was posted on his Instagram?
With the orange heads and everything? Yes.
I thought it was a pumpkin at first. But
Ping pong balls everywhere?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, you can see it on the screen here. Ping pong balls everywhere. He's wearing a sweatshirt that says Marty Supreme. But like throughout the whole video itself, it's not like obvious movie promo, right? It's like, if you know the themes of the movie, then sure, you'll catch on that it's promo for the movie, but it's 5 minutes long. There's some wild music going over it. He eventually goes and sits down and he says, like, Marty Supreme is an American film that is coming to theaters on Christmas Day. And that's kind of like all that is said about the movie itself, which is such a departure from typical movie promo and feels like more promo of him as an actor to me.
He's like building hype. Yeah, I agree. Not only for the movie, but for himself. I feel like this is like the start of his best actor campaign.
Mm-hmm. I could not help but think that, again, pumpkin head, and also there's sort of ping pong balls flying all over the place. I was like, is this a horror movie?
Right.
Like, I thought I knew what this movie was. And again, I think it's such a good point that both of you made, is like, it doesn't feel like it's attached to the movie directly. Like, it obviously is. But I feel like it's more of like a Timothy ad.
Right. Which is like, I guess, not totally out of the norm, especially for Timothy, for his last Oscars campaign. Like, people wrote a ton of articles about how he was redefining the Oscar campaign and the press tour itself. He did a lot of like out of the box stuff for a typical movie promotional cycle. He did a Nardwuar interview. He went on College Game Day. Like, all of these things really like revealed more aspects about his personality, and people latched onto that and really liked it. And it gave him a run for Adam Brody's money at the Best Actor campaign, but ultimately he did not clinch it in the end.
He got a SAG award.
That's
that
true.
Was something.
That's true.
And I think something so interesting is like, as an actor, how valuable it is to have that pull and the kind of ability to do something really unique that makes you more marketable, like as a piece of as a talent, not just your skill as an actor, not just your ability to really own a role and be an incredible performer, but also what are you doing outside? What are you doing to promote the thing? And I think it's always interesting. You see actors and actresses sometimes really, it almost feels like they're doing it because it's contractually obligated, and they're like, oh, okay, here we are doing this interview.
Right.
And it's just obviously the way to cut through the noise. And I think it's just a really interesting way that he's trying to stand out, just as like a person who should belong in movies, because it makes it easier to sell tickets to that movie.
And kind of his personal brand too.
Right.
Yeah. He got a huge crowd. He like brought the ping pong ball head men to Union Square, I think a few nights ago, and like got a huge crowd of people outside waiting. So he knows how to generate hype, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's that Gen Z in him. He's leaning into the Gen Z social media element of it all.
So, well, before we get into our next topic, we want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Digicom.
Digicom is a digital marketing agency, and they work with e-commerce brands you might have heard of, like Mind Body Green, Ever Eden, David's Toothpaste. And what they do is they use scientific creative testing and multi-channel executions to get 10x level breakthroughs on platforms like Meta, Google, TikTok, Outbrain, Taboola, you name it.
So what Digicom actually does is they really plug in as a brand's head of growth, and they can handle things like budgeting and planning. They can do creative production for paid ads, products using your assets, and they can even do media buying. But first, to do it all, they conduct an audit to map the metrics that matter for a brand, whether that's hook rate, watch time, click-through rate, conversion, or revenue.
And that's where you, Marketing Brew listeners, come in. Digicom is offering Marketing Brew listeners a free, no BS paid media audit. So they'll spend 10 plus hours diving into Meta and Google. They'll do creative testing, and then they'll look for ways to optimize your conversion rate. And then they'll give you a 90-day action plan so you can actually make it happen.
To get your brand's free paid media audit, go to digicom.io/brew. Again, that's digicom.io/brew. Awesome. Well, I want to talk about LeBron James, you guys, because last week he got a lot of attention when he posted that the decision of all decisions was coming. And he had fans thinking he was going to A, retire, or B, do some sort of career switch up. For anyone who doesn't know, back in like 2010, I think it was, he held a decision press conference where he announced that he was going from the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Miami Heat. So everyone was kind of thinking this is going to be along that same vein, but what it ended up being instead was a Hennessy campaign. Let's take a look at the clip.
Fans want to know where you're taking your talents this year. What's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is tough. In this fall, I'm gonna be taking my talents to Hennessy VSOP.
That's how I feel. That's my honest reaction.
I think that this is always such a frustrating moment for a fan who is like, I need to tune in, I need to find out what's happening, and then fake out, like, just kidding. And I think it's kind of risky for a brand to do that because, yes, a lot of people are going to tune in, a lot of people are going to see this. I don't think everybody finds it fun. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people feel like it's a little bit of a bait and switch.
You don't love a surprise ad?
Like, first of all, so many people are averse to ads in the first place, and being surprised at the ad, like, you're just risking people being like, how dare you? And I feel like doing it with LeBron in particular is very interesting because he's such a high status celebrity. Like, it kind of feels almost beneath him to kind of like do a rug pull like this. And I think that increases your chances of having a negative reaction because people are so invested in things like his career moves, and because he's such an A-list sports star, people are nervous when he is like, I have a big decision coming, I have a big announcement coming. And when you reveal that the stakes were really not as high as people might have expected them to be, people are not going to like that. And that's just not fun for anyone.
I mean, the thing is, there is at least one fan who's now suing him because he bought tickets for what he thought was going to be his final season.
Nuh-uh.
So, I mean, yeah, you can really anger people by doing something like this, especially if you like really overhype it.
You know what I think is, I think if this had played as a traditional 30-second ad on TV, no one would be upset about it. It's kind of fun to do a little fake Sports Center-esque interview, you know, and then you kind of switch it into an ad. We've seen it before, but I think that if people kind of knew it was in that structure, so it would be fine. Like, I think that the ad creative itself is like perfectly fine. Yeah. It's the lead up that
hype.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think we've seen this from other celebrities before. Like a few years ago, we had Snoop Dogg saying he was quitting smoke, and then it was revealed that it was a solo stove, like smokeless fire pit campaign.
Yes.
That one actually, like, I remember I talked to the Solo Stove team, the people at the Martin Agency who had worked on the campaign, and they were very pleased with the results. And I think that was one where I was really curious, like, is this worth the eyeballs it gets? Like, or are you misleading people? But with Snoop Dogg, I think the difference compared to the LeBron situation is that Snoop Dogg was like known to be doing a lot of brand campaigns. And he just like, it felt a little weird the way he phrased it too. Like, I'm quitting smoke. Like, I think a lot of people had like their, you know, they're aware. Yeah, exactly. Their spidey senses were tingling, and they were like, this feels like it could be a stunt. The LeBron one was like so close to how he has done big announcements in the past that I think that's why fans got so riled up.
So this really reminded me of something else we've seen from another athlete, which was Tom Brady a few years ago, tweeted this sort of cryptic black and white, very dramatic photo of him walking out of like a football field, I think walking out onto a football field. and sort of teasing some big announcement. And then it ended up being a Super Bowl ad for Hulu plus live TV. And I think, again, it was because it was like a traditional TV format, but people were tuned in. They were like, what's going to happen? And again, I think that can drive a lot of attention, but I don't know if the brand affinity, if your association with a brand is, oh, that brand that faked me out, that lied to me, or that, that brand that this athlete tricked me over. I don't know if that's necessarily something that a brand wants to do.
Yeah. I think another one that comes to mind too is like in 2019, Kendall Jenner had tweeted that she had a big announcement coming, and Kris Jenner also helped promote it with hashtags like "Be the Change." And it sounded like it was going to be this big, like, charitable announcement, or it was going to have some sort of philanthropic aspect.
Be the Change
Or
is associated with that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
for sure.
so expectations were set in a certain way, and then it was like, hey, I'm working with Proactive, and everyone's like, what?
Like, where did Be the Change come from? That's what I'd like to understand.
I think she was saying, like, end the stigma, but you didn't set the right expectations for an announcement like that. And I think that's where people get angry. It's like, you misled me.
I mean, I think that's the interesting aspect that social media plays in it all, right? Like, it's like ad campaigns are something to be hyped up and to, like, plant the seeds for. And that is an area that has the potential for missteps, especially if it's like people, the Kendall example is interesting because I feel like Kris was the one promoting it. Like, she wasn't actually even in the campaign itself. Like, you're opening it up to like more characters to like promote it or hype it in a certain way that might set the expectations incorrectly for when the actual campaign rolls out. So it's just the campaign itself is extended beyond just the actual creative or the tongue-in-cheek humor of it, which creates this possibility for it to be received the wrong way. But I do want to play devil's advocate because I'm not a huge sports girly, and I would not have heard of this LeBron campaign if there wasn't a little bit of discussion, a little discourse, a little backlash around it. So I wonder if it's not quite rage baity, but I imagine that the people coming up with these campaigns have to know that there's a chance that people will be upset or disappointed, and that creates a discourse cycle, which does get it in front of people that is not in your target demographic that already would have seen it regardless. So is there value in still playing with a little bit of that discourse?
I think yeah, that's like the big question with like engagement baiting or rage baiting is like, just because you get eyeballs, does that translate to success for your brand? Does that lead to sales? Like, you may not have heard of this Hennessy campaign before, but are you more likely to buy Hennessy now? Like, did that campaign make you want to go out and buy a bottle?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, if you're not the target audience, but you've heard about it, like, there's a stopping point there in the customer journey.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's so interesting, and is always part of the calculus when you're working with a celebrity or an athlete/celebrity, right? Like, these people are very influential, is that there is a lot of eyeballs on that person at any time. So whenever there is an announcement teased, a sports news site might write about this and so say what might be going on, like a reporter is going to be paying attention. So that it's more than just the fan who might be faked out. There might be a whole other kind of circle of people who are affected, but it creates this media cycle. And it's such a good point, Jenna, that there are going to be naysayers, but it does kind of elevate it because there are so many eyeballs on this person at any time. Obviously, we know that can be a double-edged sword that can come with a lot of negative repercussions. And so I think it's a really fine line for these brands to walk, but it's undeniable that it did cut through, and maybe that's what Hennessy was aiming to do, cut through. And if we're gonna have a couple haters, we don't think it's gonna actually affect our sales. We don't think people who were big Hennessy fans are going to stop buying our product because of this. And in fact, we may reach people who would not have purchased our product before this.
Right.
I think ultimately one thing that I'm curious to see is, like, moving forward, can LeBron James make another big announcement, or is this going to kind of like taint whatever he says is coming?
Mm-hmm. Boyhood Pride Wolf.
Exactly.
People don't pay attention to his next.
They're like, yeah, you've got an announcement.
He's
coming.
like actually retiring, and people are like, are you? Like,
right.
Yeah.
So when he actually does retire, we'll see.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, guys, I am unwell about this news because Alex Cooper is getting in on the ad agency game with Unwell Creative Agency, which is the latest segment of her media company, Unwell.
Well, 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 well.
Wow. How many puns can we come up with? I think many. So she launched the agency with an official partnership with Google. She's already created an ad campaign for it. And the whole point of it, she says, will be to create content and develop campaigns. But the thing that's like really setting it apart, in her words, is that she's positioning it as like the way to reach Gen Z women in particular. She said that like Gen Z audiences are so bombarded with advertisements and they're sick of it and they've grown up on social media, and a lot of advertisers just don't understand how to talk to Gen Z in particular, but she does. So that's what this campaign is stepping in to do. How do you guys feel about this?
I think this is this is added to the list of a celebrity who says, I know how to reach my fans, right? And I think for her, she is very much saying, who is my fan base? I know how to reach them. Here's how successful I've been at reaching them already, and how successful the brand partners who have worked with me have been. Let me just take it a step further. So this is a great way for her to continue driving her own business, right? Working bigger and bigger deals for her own products, but then kind of expanding out from there. So it kind of reminds me of some other celebrity-backed agencies that we've seen, although I do think that this stands out because it is an influencer agency that is, celebrity-led and is kind of targeted a little bit different. But I think about Ryan Reynolds here, the movie star who also created Maximum Effort, which is not just a production studio for movies and TV shows, but it's also branded content and actually agency work. And I really feel like this sort of has almost set the playbook a little bit for this. But Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like Kristen Bell started her own agency a few years ago with the same mindset. Like, I'm funny. I have funny shows. Come to me if you want a funny commercial. And I feel like that's Ryan Reynolds' whole brand is like, Deadpool is funny. Do you want that same energy in your ad? Like he did the Gwyneth Paltrow campaign.
Yes.
For Astronomer, the company that
very
had
quickly hopped on it.
CEO cheating scandal at the Coldplay concert. So I feel like, other celebrities probably see this and they're like, you know what? I can do that too. I'm funny, or I have a brand known for humor or reaching a certain audience. So why not get a piece of the pie?
What makes it also interesting to me is that I feel like the draw of a celebrity-fronted ad agency is kind of obvious, right? Like you are working with a celebrity who has their niche audience. Like you said, Kristen Bell is funny. She like appeals to people who like humor, et cetera, et cetera. But why work with celebrity-fronted agencies in particular? I feel like a lot of them there's this like unspoken idea that like they will be able to connect you with more celebrity talent, right? Like obviously celebrities are friends with celebrities. I'm sure that like Ryan Reynolds knew Gwyneth Paltrow in some type of way and was like, oh, I can bring her in to like really capitalize on this moment. Alex Cooper's agency is a little interesting to me because she specifically said that she will be involved where it's necessary, and in that Google campaign, like she is very much in it. She's like, there's 3 people in it. It's her, Adie Bryant, and Sabrina Impacciatore, who are all like very big in their own ways, and she stars in it, but she says that she doesn't plan to do that every time. Like it's not that every time you work with Unwell Creative Agency, it's going to be an Alex Cooper ad, but she will connect you to the right people. So to me, is that kind of like cutting out the traditional middleman of other ad agencies who also obviously forge relationships with celebrities or various spokespeople that do the work, and you're just going straight to other celebrities that can get you in with their friends? Is that going to kill a part of the industry?
Are the talent agencies sweating a little bit?
Yeah.
We also kind of saw this with Ryan Reynolds and Donna Kelsey. Remember with like the State Farm, Jake from State Farm sitting next to Donna Kelsey in like the Chiefs booth with Taylor Swift, like capitalizing on the fact that like he knows Taylor Swift personally and can make that connection. But yeah, I wonder if talent agencies are like, ooh, if they're going directly to the celebrity, where's our role in all this?
I wonder too, this business is all about relationships. And I could say that about many, many businesses. So it's not like a particularly revelatory thing to know, but, particularly when you're looking to work with influencers, when you're looking to work with celebrities, anybody with, an audience of any kind, those connections really work. And I also think it's promising to be less stuffy, faster, more agile. And I think we've really seen that with, again, Maximum Effort and Ryan Reynolds' project. Like you said, the State Farm sort of stunt. They turned around a really quick Peloton ad a couple years ago, if you remember that. And so there's this promise of agility and speed, which so many marketers are looking for. And it's interesting because it's obviously all about who does Unwell Agency bring on to actually do some of these executions, because it's not going to be Alex Cooper entirely, because she is busy doing other things. So it's like, who do you hire, and then what can they promise? And like, can they actually deliver on the speed, the agility, and the connection with the audiences that are necessary? But I do think it's such an interesting kind of growing trend in this space. And I do wonder if we're going to see other big influencers kind of do this. I don't know if they would be people coming from the podcast world or somebody who has a huge following on TikTok or Instagram who says, I actually really kind of have the keys to this audience, and here's how I can make it happen. And it's really kind of connecting people with other things, because a brand is a brand is a brand, and Alex Cooper is a brand, right? And so having her name associated with an agency serves the same function, right? It's like people are like, I want to work with her, and this might be a way in, even if they're not working directly with her to be the face of a product or to promote a brand immediately.
I think her personal brand also ties into this too, because didn't a few months ago she say that she turned on like an $8 million brand deal because it would have hurt her credibility. So this gives her probably access to that amount of money, but with more control, and she gets more say in what the brands she is, or what brands she works with, and what she says with those brands.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that like influencers in particular are always thinking about, is like, oh, like you need the brand deals for your source of income, but is this the actual brand that you want to associate with your personal brand? And yes, this gives someone like Alex Cooper that control, but also I feel like gives her a layer of like being able to remove herself from it. It's like her agency can work on a brand deal, but like her face doesn't necessarily have to be associated with it. Her name is obviously still associated with it, especially in the advertising world, but there's a layer of separation between the traditional influencer putting their face behind a brand on screen or a podcaster putting their voice behind it. It's a little bit more intimate, I feel like, that way, and the agency kind of like adds that layer of separation in between. I'm curious too how SiriusXM feels about this, because she has a $100 or $150 million deal, large amount of dollars.
A lot of money.
Yes. Deal with SiriusXM that is built on ads. So I feel like her getting into the ad creation game is like, oh, like she can do this too. Does she even really need Sirius? Like, could she take this entirely independent? She obviously, as a businesswoman, is continuing to expand her empire. But I feel like that's a little something.
Or does it benefit them because she's bringing in more advertisers and more lucrative deals, because now she has kind of an even more formalized way to work with brands.
The other thing that I think about too when I do see celebrity fronted campaigns or celebrity agency worked on campaigns is that when their fans know that it was made by their favorite celebrity, a comment I see all the time is like, wow, I actually sat through this entire ad. Like, I love this ad. Like, I'm so proud of you for this ad. And there's so much more connection to that ad. It's on like this personal, parasocial kind of level. And that's something that a brand has got to just love, is like, oh, people are like talking about this ad as entertainment, as something that they want to watch. And that's a different type of relationship to advertising than the like, ugh, let me scroll away as quickly as I can.
Yeah, well, talking about loving ads, we got to talk about an ad in New York that some people are really not loving. So there is the AI wearable product called Friend AI, which I would describe as sort of a Tamagotchi style necklace. It's sort of a big necklace that the microphone's always on, and it promises to text you and kind of just always be listening.
Yeah.
It texts you.
So
So
her becomes more and more real every day.
Yes. So they have raised a lot of money, and they have a huge campaign out in New York in the subway system. It's an out-of-home campaign. Adweek reported it was $1 million campaign. And the ads, they're very white, they're very minimalistic if you haven't seen them. And they show off the necklace, they show off the necklace, and they say things like, a friend, someone who listens, responds, and supports you. Or say things like, this friend, I'll never leave dirty dishes in the sink. So sort of promising this ease of use. More than 11,000 cards, over 1,000 platform posters, and they're being defaced in droves.
I don't think I've seen a clean one yet.
Well, they've taken over, I think it's like the West 4th Street station in particular. Like, you cannot walk down that hallway without seeing these ads. And you're right, like, a bunch of them have graffiti over them, and people are just like really not happy about it.
Yeah.
And it's really reflecting, I feel like, how people feel about AI in general, especially in New York. Like, New York is such like an artist city. Like, it's full of creatives. I feel like that is the community that pushes back against AI the most. So very fascinating choice to spend $1 million on an out-of-home campaign in New York City.
I mean, we saw this, we talked about this last week with Skechers. Like, they had AI ads that got defaced too. But this one's on a whole nother level. There was a Gothamist video. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Gothamist interviewed the founder, and they basically read out some of the graffiti to him, and he got his feedback. And he was just scrolling his phone like, yeah, okay, great feedback. Like,
I actually think we have a part of that Gothamist clip to take a listen to right now.
But his main point was, he said, this is the dumbest idea I've ever seen. It's destroying the world for the stupidest thing, and I hate it.
Yeah, so that is a Gothamist reporter talking to the founder of Friend AI and sort of trying to get his opinion on some of this defacement. I think this is so interesting because I just think that, again, these AI companies are really struggling to figure out what kind of marketing message works for people. We have seen these kind of big campaigns from OpenAI and Anthropic, and it hasn't really gotten big results, but so Adweek actually reported that there was a research firm that tested some OpenAI ads for ChatGPT, and they performed really, really terribly. And tech ads in general tend to perform pretty poorly on average, and they perform like even below sort of the standard for tech. I just really think that consumers are so skeptical. There are some consumers, again, who love this, who are embracing it, but I really think that the messaging is tricky, and I think we've kind of seen these AI companies fail again and again. Again, talking to just the Gothamist reporter who just talked to some regular people who are walking past the advertisements, immediately found a person who defaced it, started writing on it with a Sharpie, but just asked people who were like, this feels creepy, this feels Black Mirror, this doesn't make me feel connected, this makes me feel disconnected, this is promising to like an easy relationship, but the whole point of relationships is that they're messy and complicated, and that's what makes them fulfilling, like it's good that if you might have to tell your roommate to clean the dishes, that's fine. You don't want to.
It's good to have some conflict sometimes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You don't want to replace that person with a necklace that's just texting you, like that's not a connection. And so I just think that something that this made me think of, just the dialogue around these ads, made me think of, there were a bunch of ads last year, I think. Apple had them, but Google also had them. And these were ads in the case of Apple, it was with Bella Ramsey. And it was a series of ads where they were kind of doing things that a normal person would normally just do the regular style, manually. Writing a eulogy for a pet fish, fudging their way through a career meeting, like they're sitting down with their agent and they're like, what do you think of this project? And Bella Ramsey looks down at the phone and has AI summarize an email that they never read, and remembering somebody's name at a party. And those, to me, again, I kind of feel like the promise is like, it's okay. You can be kind of a bad, I don't want to say bad person, but like,
They're like bad at
you
remembering
can-
things. Or like bad
Yeah.
at like just typical life things.
This tool will kind of help you fudge your way through these things. And I'm kind of like, if you're going to write a pet eulogy for a pet, I hope that you're doing it for real, because the whole point of a eulogy.
If you cared about your pet enough to write a eulogy, like maybe actually write it.
It doesn't have to be long.
Right.
We saw this with Google Gemini last summer too during the Olympics, because they had a similar ad where it was like a little girl's writing to her favorite athlete, but she uses AI to write it. And people are like, if we can't have the simple joys of looking at what a 5-year-old would write to her favorite athlete, then like what's the point?
Yeah, I feel like the bigger takeaway is just the AI companies really still need to figure out what the right message is that actually cuts through, because it is not cutting it right now. And I mean, New Yorkers are clearly having none of it, but I think that more broadly, people in general are saying this is not the message that's going to make me want to use these tools.
Yeah, look, AI in advertising I think can just be thorny, whether you're using AI to actually create the ads that people feel weird about, or you're advertising the AI itself. People are like, do I really want this kind of technology fully integrated in my life, fully crossing the lines into human functions? I don't think we're ready for that, but I'm sure there are supporters out there. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you want to tell us how you feel about LeBron's fake retirement or friend AI creeping into your life, send us an email at mkbw@morningbrew.com, which you can also find in the show notes. And make sure you join us again right here next week.